Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are sitting in a 2023 Lexus RX 350, and I'm going to teach you how to use the dynamic radar cruise control and the lane tracing assist with Lexus Safety Sense 3.0. So the controls for these features are all going to be here on the right-hand side of the steering wheel. On the left-hand side, on this particular Lexus, I have these arrows that I can scroll through the screens up here. So I'm going to have this set to the adaptive cruise screen to look at that. So step one is to make sure that the adaptive cruise control system is on. That's what this little mode button does right here. So if I push mode, you'll see I can be in adaptive cruise mode or I can be in cruise control mode. So the cruise control mode is like the old school cruise control where you just set it to a speed and it goes that speed forever. We're not talking about that today. We're going to have it in adaptive cruise mode because that's the one where the car's cameras and radar sensors see the car in front of us and speed up and slow down with the car in front of us. So the controls for that are all right here. Once we get the vehicle on the road to engage the system, you just get it up to speed and push this button right here with the car, the speedometer, and the lane lines. That kind of busy looking button there, that's how you turn the whole system on and you'll be cruising as soon as you push that button. This one right here turns your lane tracing assist on and off. So as you can see, as I push that button, the lane tracing icons go away. When the lane tracing is active, that's when the car's camera can read the lane lines in front of you. It'll turn these lane lines green, and then the little icon is there to remind you to keep your hands on the steering wheel. As ever, these are not self-driving systems. This is a driver aid system, so you still need to keep your hands on the wheel. You need to pay attention to your surroundings and be ready to react if necessary. But back to the adaptive cruise control. If you want to increase your speed, once it's set, you push the plus button. If you want to decrease your speed, you push the minus button. This button right here with the little car with the radar wave looking things coming out of the back of it, that is how you adjust your following distance. So as you push that button, you'll see 1 bar there is the shortest following distance, 4 bars is the longest, etc., etc. And you'll see when we're out on the road, when you're locked onto a car, it'll show you a little icon of a car ahead of you right there. So you'll get that when you're locked onto a vehicle. To cancel it, you can either press cancel or just hit the brakes. And if you need to resume your speed, you can press resume once the vehicle's brought itself to a complete stop, or if you had to tap the brake and kind of temporarily cancel the system, just press resume. The other thing you can do if the system brought itself to a complete stop is just tap the gas pedal and get it moving again that way. So with all that being said, let's get it out on the road and show you how it works. Okay, so we are out on the road. We are going to use the system. I have it set to adaptive by pushing that little button. So I'm just going to push the one with the speedometer, the car, and the lane lines to activate everything. You can see here it's now set to 34 and it's locked onto the vehicle in front of us. It just beeped at me because I departed my lane a little bit. I'm going to hit the plus button to increase my speed so that I am keeping up with traffic. So I currently have my speed set to 45 miles per hour, and now the vehicle in front of me is slowing down. One thing you'll notice on this particular Lexus, some people always wonder, is my car illuminating the brake lights when it brakes on its own? And you can see right below the speedometer, those 2 little red tail lights. That's an indicator telling you that your brake lights are illuminated. So on this car, you don't have to wonder. And we are slowing down with the truck in front of us. We have made it down to 16 miles per hour. We're coming to a stop. Boom. And we have come to a complete stop. We are now at 0 miles per hour. And the truck started moving again. That was a very brief stop, so when it's just a brief one like that, the car will start moving on its own. But if it's more than a few seconds, you will have to intervene to get the vehicle moving again. And now it's accelerating on its own. I have not touched the gas or the brake since I pushed the button to activate the dynamic radar cruise control system. So we are just cruising along behind this big rig truck right here. So a couple of things to keep in mind when you are using this system is what type of vehicle am I following? So obviously right now I'm following a big rig truck, so my Lexus has no problem locking onto the back of it. It knows exactly what it's doing. But if you're behind some sort of an odd-shaped vehicle like a motorcycle or a trailer with nothing on the bed of the trailer, like a flatbed truck, always just pay attention. Make sure that the vehicle is not following it too closely, and that it's locked onto the correct part of the vehicle. Because like in the example of the flatbed truck, is it locked on to the actual rear of the vehicle, or is it locked onto the back of the cab? And with motorcycles, I've used a lot of different adaptive cruise control systems. Sometimes they lock onto them, they usually do, but I tend not to follow motorcycles when I'm using adaptive cruise control because it just kind of makes me nervous. You know, if the target's too small, if the car makes a mistake, and if you hit somebody on a motorcycle, that's a lot worse than hitting somebody in a car. So my personal advice is don't follow motorcycles. That's just my official point of view on the system. Now, the light has turned green, and I am going to hit resume, and the car accelerates on its own, and we are moving once again. Now, something else to keep in mind when you're using the dynamic radar cruise control is it is tuned for situations exactly like this. So I'm locked onto the vehicle in front of me, I'm following the vehicle in front of me. If the vehicle in front of me slows down, I'll slow down. If it speeds up, I'll speed up. But in this case, I will only speed up to 45 miles per hour because that's where I have my maximum speed set. So let's say you're on the highway and you have your maximum speed set at 65 miles an hour and there's nobody in front of you, so you're just doing 65 miles per hour, and up ahead something happened, traffic is coming to a dead stop. That is not the situation that the adaptive cruise control is meant to compensate for. So in that situation, don't rely on the adaptive cruise control to bring the vehicle to a complete stop, because at that point you're essentially driving up against a wall, and that's not what it's for. So just hit the brake, take control at that point of the vehicle, and don't run into the stop traffic up ahead of you, because again, that's not what the system's meant for. Could it deal with it? Quite probably yes, but not always. So now in this case, we just started moving again, and I just tapped the gas pedal to get us moving again. Now, I have had the lane tracing active for the whole time. It's not really doing anything because I'm on a straight road. The lane tracing is a little bit harder to demonstrate because it would just be me saying, oh, it's following the curve. But basically, when you see the little display down here, how the two green lines on the side of the vehicle are lit up green, that means that the lane tracing is active, so it does have the ability to control the steering to keep me centered in my lane. But again, this is not a self-driving feature. I still have my hand on the wheel, I'm still paying attention, and you need to drive the vehicle. This is just a driver aid system, and it is very useful. So let's see, allegedly this truck is going to make a right turn, so we'll see what this brings us. Something else to keep in mind when using this system is it does not read traffic lights in this car. So if you've got your adaptive cruise control set, you're coming up to a light which is red, but there's no vehicle in front of you that you're locked onto, or the vehicle in front of you that you're locked onto has decided that it's gonna run the light, you'll run the light too. Now you'll see what happened. The system waited quite a bit for that truck to get out of my way, and then the person in the Toyota Tacoma behind me was very annoyed with me. Here's a Toyota Tacoma driver. They're always the classiest people in the world. He was annoyed with the fact that this car was not going faster. So that's what happened there. So the adaptive cruise does drive conservatively, dynamic radar cruise, adaptive cruise. I like how even Toyota and Lexus can't decide what to call it on their new Safety Sense 3.0 systems. But yeah, it drives conservatively, so it waited until that truck was all the way out of the way. And now we are following a Tacoma, and we are coming up to a stop once again. Oh, he's gonna make a right. Okay, so now I'm coming up to a parked car. I'm locked on. The car's braking. I know it's braking because my little red lights are lit up there. And we are stopping. Ba-bam. We have come to a complete stop at a red light. Normally, I don't use this system driving around town like this. I do film these videos, my how-to videos when I'm driving around town, because it's just easier to honestly get the cars to come to a complete stop in this situation. But I normally use this on the freeway. It's really great for heavy traffic situations, that kind of traffic where you're like, I'm doing 4 miles an hour, I'm doing 6 miles an hour, I'm doing 2 miles an hour, I'm doing 15 miles an hour. The car handles the gas and the brake for all that. Again, you still have to watch, you still have to pay attention. You know, if somebody cuts you off really hard from the side, I always say just hit the brake. It mainly has peripheral, it mainly looks forward. It's not necessarily looking for peripheral vision. So now I just hit resume, and off we go. So like this person in this white car that just got in front of me right here, that was fine. The system could totally compensate for that. But if somebody was to really egregiously cut you off, my advice is always just hit the brake, take control of the system. You know, don't rely on the car to do absolutely everything for you, because again, it's not self-driving. It's meant to be a driver aid system. And it is starting to actually rain a little bit. I am filming this during one of the craziest winters that I can recall in the California area where I live. So another thing to keep in mind, if it's raining, I would recommend using this button to stretch out your following distance a little bit more, just to give the car more room to brake. But if it's raining real hard, or if the snow's icy, I would say don't, or if the street, I should say, is icy, I would say don't use the system at all, because you don't want to get in trouble, you know, having the car spin out because the adaptive cruise wasn't as good at driving in bad weather as a human. And that car's gotten out of the way. We are coming to a stop behind this Honda CR-V. And that, for the most part, is what I have to say about the system. It won't stop for red lights. If somebody cuts you off hard, hit the brakes. Pay attention to what you're following. Make sure you're not following too close. Always keep your hands on the wheel. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I have to say about it. If you do have any questions about the Lexus Dynamic Radar Cruise Control or Lane Tracing Assist, please put them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them for you. Please like my video, subscribe to the channel, all that fun stuff, and have yourself a fantastic day. Bye-bye.